All right, so hey, welcome to Conversations in American Democracy. I am not Merrill Shapiro. Merrill's not here today, and he's asked me to step into his huge shoes, and I'm going to do my best. I'm Mark Webb. You may see me from my ponderings from Palm Coast. But today, we're talking about conversations in democracy, and oh my goodness,
We got a lot to talk about.
how much time do we have? So basically, I want to stay within some of the format we have to bring up and discuss, because I'm hearing that some people have really enjoyed Mike's conversations about what are some of the questions that you as a new citizen or to be a new citizen may be asked. And I'll admit I've been struggling a lot to answer any of those questions, which says a lot about civics in today. So Mike, the floor is yours. Take us to school.
Well, there's a new test being contemplated that Merrill alluded to, and so I went, of course, I'm not Mr. Technology, so I went to the website they suggested, but it said there was no page. So who knows whether there is or not. But so I'm still using the old citizenship test, which you had 100 questions possible, and you had it was given orally, and you only had to answer 6 out of 10 to pass. That has supposedly, the new one is supposed to change. Now I haven't gotten for sure whether that's in effect this moment or but anyway. So I'm going to give you a couple of the questions here. What are 2 rights of everyone living in the United States? Now there's several possible answers. You only have to pick 2. So who wants to be brave and say what they think 2 of the rights are for everyone living in the United States?
Yeah, a right to a trial by jury.
Due process?
Those aren't exactly what
Free speech
But
freedom of speech.
even
for now.
even if you're not a citizen, like if you're living in the United States.
In other words, yes,
Okay.
this is different from being a citizen.
Right.
This is everyone living in the United States. That's important.
So they have, everyone living in the United States has the right to free speech.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
To be counted, like in the census.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's not one of the answers.
All right, Mike.
So,
Religion.
Show us.
Belief. Is
Pardon?
that a right of everyone living in the United States?
To
Religious belief.
Religion,
Yes.
freedom of religion.
yeah,
Okay.
freedom of religion.
So that's on the test. All right, so we've got 2.
Yeah, so what their possibles are freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom to, how many of these are being threatened right now?
Really? Yeah.
Freedom to petition the government, freedom of religion, and the right to bear arms.
I thought that. I didn't want to
Interesting.
say that, especially with this open carry stuff going on. Oh.
Okay, so you can bear arms if you're not a citizen just by being. Interesting.
That's what this says. But in reality, most states have,
modify that,
Requirements.
right.
of course, not for.
Or-
Well, no, I don't think you can be an undocumented alien and get away with walking around with a pistol on
Yeah, that would
on your
be
hip.
I don't
not
think
good.
they, I don't think they would test it.
I would think that would be a citizen right, not a anybody.
Okay, but
Yeah.
assembly, people have been picked up
Mm-hmm.
Right.
for being At a protest.
Right. That's a new,
Well, it's actually not new. That's
No.
been a challenge since
right.
Right.
the beginning.
And especially
so.
what Randy finds doing, he's trying to get people run over
Mm-hmm.
at a demonstration. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I mean, how
I
that
keep
man got
calling
elected
him.
in the first place is, I still shake my head going, how is that possible?
Just that man?
Who's running
Well-
against him?
At the moment, we don't have anybody.
On the
That's
Democrat
announced.
side, there are,
The CD6?
no, there are 3
Yeah?
Democrats that have put in paperwork. You can go to Tallahassee to the state elections, which is similar to our county elections, and you can see all the candidates that have put in for any open seats. And I believe there are 3 at this point,
Any names we would recognize?
Democrats. None that I'm aware of. But there are
3.
3 that have
I
stepped
didn't know
up.
that.
Time to start looking into
Well,
it.
3 is better
And
than
there's
none.
multiple Republicans that have put in to challenge him at the primary. So, you got another one for us?
I got one more. What is one promise you make when you become a United States citizen?
To uphold the
obey-
Constitution.
Yeah, uphold the Constitution.
Defend the Constitution.
That's the correct,
Right.
yeah, wording. And,
Oh, read the question.
Let's see.
there's several
I've
possible
taken this oath
answers.
so many times.
What is one promise you make when you become a United States citizen?
Support Donald Trump.
Well,
Not yet, anyway.
Don't give them any
That's
ideas.
in the new
Kind of
one.
the Pledge of Allegiance.
That's in the new
Oh,
one.
the answer's in the
Yeah.
Pledge of Allegiance.
Probably I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
It
States.
seems like to defend the Constitution covers.
well,
No,
to,
there's some,
well, other answers that are acceptable are you give up loyalty to other countries.
Oh, okay, that
Because
makes
remember,
sense.
you're coming from another country to take this test.
Right.
You obey the laws of the United States,
Mhm.
unless you're the president. Serve in the military if needed.
So you
Serve-
agree to be drafted?
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
that's,
I
that's,
didn't know that either.
yeah, serve in the military if needed. Serve to do important work for the nation if needed. So in other words, if
You're
they
willing
want
to
you
be
in the-
appointed or
in
something?
the CIA or something. And be loyal to the United States.
What, how's dual citizenship
Yeah.
get affected by that particular?
Well, you have to adhere to what's in here,
Mhm.
and then when you go to your home country, your other country, or your birth country, then you have to adhere to whatever their laws are while you're in there. So,
yeah, I
anyway,
recently had a friend of my son's who has dual citizenship with South Korea. And his mom is American, and he's living here. He had to go back to South Korea and serve their mandatory 2-year military, which is part of the agreement they have in South, because they have a mandatory military service. He had to go back and do it for 2 years, and then he came back here. And he always knew that that was part of that agreement that he made.
Right. I
In
wonder how
wearing
many
both
countries have
hats.
that. I know Israel has that. You have to serve as part of your citizenship. You have to agree to be in the military for so many years. I wonder how many other countries have that.
I don't know.
My
I
daughter
think that,
wants
I personally, being a veteran, think our young people would be very beneficial to be asked to learn to participate in our government activities, not necessarily military, but possibly the Peace Corps or some
Does that still
volunteer.
exist, Peace Corps? Did
There's
they
similar versions of that, to where one,
get rid of
you
it?
get out of the house of where you were raised, you get out of the city you were raised, and that goes,
and do service to your country.
well, and exactly,
So 2 years doing something I've advocated for
ever. Now,
50
me too,
years.
me too. I like how Europe and the UK does military service where there are two paths. You could come in and do 2 years and not be promised any kind of skill set, and you're just a support person. Or you can sign up for 10 years and they send you to college for 2 of those years, and all you do is learn to understand the skill set, because they're investing,
Right.
as we do, a lot of money and energy and training. And in our military, as some of us that are veterans have seen people come in, do their 4 years, never really learn anything but how to be an adult, and then leave. But getting back to one of the things I was reading a couple of days ago that made me think, and I wanted to bring this up to you. Right now, someone that English is not their first language, taking this verbal test, is allowed to have a translator. Is that true?
That's been my understanding. Now, I don't know about the new one.
The new one, they're trying to no longer provide
Right.
the translation. And part of the reasons were, if we all remember that really tragic automobile accident with the tractor trailer, with the individual who was an immigrant. He was here initially legally, but he had very poor English reading and writing skills. And he was operating a motor vehicle and he couldn't even read or understand, they say, some of the signage. And that immediately caused people to look at this process.
How do you pass the operator's test?
Yeah, I was thinking.
Yeah.
You have a
Yeah.
translator.
For an
But
operation.
the
Yeah, but you
signs
still
are
have to
mostly
read the
symbols.
signs.
They are mostly symbols,
Anyway,
but,
just curious.
right, I
Me
mean,
too.
CDL, if you can't.
I know.
It's a
Big,
simple language.
big holes
for
in
writing.
it. So it just made me wonder what was going on with
But
that.
that's what they use to clamp down on that.
Well, because part of my understanding to be a citizen, based on the upper level guidelines, is to understand and be somewhat fluid in the English language. If you have a translator that's translating into your language, the questions kind of defeats
Yeah.
that purpose of being able to understand the language. So, all right. Thank you. So normally we would go to Kurt and the amendments. Kurt's not here. So any questions or issues about amendments? I know that we've been talking a lot about free speech. As I was describing to Al, I was at the city council meeting Tuesday morning, and the conversation came up. And there was a request by a resident to stop funding Flagler Live, which didn't amount to much, because Flagler Live had done an opinion piece that they did not like.
Oh.
They felt that it was an unnecessary attack on Charlie Kirk, even though it was an opinion piece, right? Luckily, the city council, in reflecting it, chose not to follow that direction. But it did open up a good conversation about free speech, hate speech, and when is it too much?
Right.
Thoughts?
Well, just take the cancellation of Jimmy Kimmel and the Hazarai that raised is crazy. I'm upset that I didn't get a chance to see it last time.
I don't think it aired in most places in Florida.
Yeah, and
watched it.
2 of the channels,
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
2 ABC
Yeah.
channels.
Well,
That's what I did.
Nexstar,
Right,
Catch it on
exactly.
YouTube.
I just stumbled onto that information, so I knew early yesterday I wouldn't be able to watch it if I wanted to, but I didn't
You
want
know,
to.
the free speech thing is it's kind of interesting because, I'm definitely for free speech. But there are times when I think someone does have a right to shut someone down. Like, for instance, if you're employed by someone and you're bad-mouthing the company that you work for, or they can fire you.
Absolutely.
But there's a big difference between the government like with this Kimmel thing, and I heard some yapping about Roseanne a few years ago. I forget all the details with her, but she was repulsive, and ABC, I think it was, got rid of her. But they did have a right to do that. She was repulsive and whatever, and they were employer. This is
Yeah.
the government pressuring, this is entirely different.
But, you know, a private entity does not have to abide by free speech. They can have rules
Of course.
according
Right.
to your dress code,
Of
according to
course.
what you can
Of
talk
course.
about.
Of course,
You know, so in that case,
Yes,
it's
of
not
course.
applicable.
absolutely.
But, you know, when you got government pressure,
That's where
that's
the
a whole
difference
nother
is. So when I
story.
hear people, you know, these ridiculous arguments of, oh, well, this is what they were doing before, or they were canceling. No, it's not the same argument.
Right.
It's
Mm-mm.
completely
And this was
different.
the FCC getting involved
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
trying to shut
And-
down.
And the President of the United States
That was
with all
terrifying.
his, Kimmel's
Exactly.
next, this one's next, that one's next.
Terrifying.
Yes, it is
That, in
terrifying.
by itself is terrifying, but what they're trying to do is to appease him so that they get their merger approved.
So that rich.
You know, so it comes
extreme-
all back to oligarchy. It all comes
and
back to where the money
Extremely
is.
rich people will get richer, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
And you don't have to really look too far to see that, right there.
yeah.
So it's not the same arguments that I'm hearing some people raise. It's
So would you consider what we're doing today free speech?
I do, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm,
And you've got the
absolutely.
freedom to have your opinion?
Yes,
To say whatever it was?
Absolutely.
You knows that it's going to be sent out.
Right.
Are you aware of the potential risk of doing that?
Yeah,
Do you
we-
consider that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't have anything to lose, I don't think, but if you were employed by the county or
Yeah.
something,
Right.
you know, perhaps they
Yeah.
would object to that. and
Well, how
which
about
they-
just your physical well-being and
Well,
where
yeah,
you are?
There is that too. And that could be an issue too, because
Yeah.
I've heard some violent rhetoric about, against the libs that are
Well, absolutely.
shooting
So,
Charlie Kirk.
you know, we have, as we just learned, the right to assemble.
Right.
When we, or any group, organizes, stands on a street corner with signs, that's within our right. The sign we have says whatever we wish it to say within our right. But there's risk.
Oh, yeah. And the next one, October 18th, no Kings 2.
Exactly.
Say that, October 18th, no Kings 2, usual suspects.
Right. So along those same lines, I was having this conversation with a conservative person. I asked him this question. Do you think Charlie Kirk knew the risk as he moved into this conversation, putting himself out there publicly,
Yes.
being aware?
Yes, but I think he downplayed it.
Yeah.
I think he felt strong. I think they know that, well, maybe I shouldn't say this. I wouldn't even come if I knew. But
No,
like,
it's just an opinion.
they want to say we're more violent, but they all know it's not true. I think he felt safer on his side than
I
he
think that,
should have.
I
That's just my opinion.
think he probably felt safe, because he was a place where everybody
A
loves
bunch
him.
of peaceful hippies. We generally don't go
Yeah.
around assassinating
Right.
people.
No.
Well, I
It's not
will,
our shtick usually. I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
Well,
Right.
But the piece of the pie is this big and their piece is this big. I would have felt safe in his seat
He
too.
was on friendly to him
Right,
territory for
friendly
sure.
turf, yeah.
you know, I don't.
He might have needed to consider the more extreme side of his base, but I don't think he did. I don't know, whatever, but I think he felt safer than he should have.
I think,
obviously.
so again, this is my opinion. I've been following him for a long time. And he intentionally would put himself, open himself up to having, in his mind, a fair and open dialogue with people that would challenge him. And that's what his shtick was. That's where he put himself. And I would suggest if you have this kind of time, if you go, you can go on YouTube and see him in conversations, very politely, very, I wish we would all have this style of dialogue. I applaud him for that. But most of the people in the room, and I think a lot of the people that were in that area, were not believers of Charlie Kirk, but were believed in the process of the debate,
Okay.
right?
I watch this podcast because I like to be informed on what the other side is getting and thinking and doing. And if I only stay in my own echo chamber, how the heck do I know? Like, why is my
Exactly.
19-year-old such a big fan? My 19-year-old nephew, I'm gonna call him my nephew, he's not really blood, but you know? And
Yeah,
I'm like, why are you thinking these things? And I realized we're watching we're in totally different worlds online. And the kids who play video games are getting bombed. I watched some very good, documentaries about, we gotta start looking at what their algorithms look like. The video games are a real good way to get into the right-wing thing, I guess. Just because they know, oh,
Can
there's a
be.
young man, let's put our stuff there.
well, go ahead.
Well, I have a
It's scary.
friend on Facebook who had just posted something very recently that, she had a friend that was into Charlie Kirk, and they were actually hearing completely different things that he said.
Yeah.
And her friend said, oh, he just loved blah, blah, blah. And then she had been hearing the stuff about civil rights was bad and, all the nasty things he said. They were listening to two different
Yeah.
people.
It's not fun to dive into it, but if you don't, then you're missing a big chunk of understanding why people are thinking the way they are.
Well, we have two realities in this country right now. We completely do.
And it's also a male-female thing, it's not even right left.
Kind of, yeah, yeah.
They're really targeting the young
And I would
men.
say the young men, yes, yes.
The ideologies are really
Right,
trying
it's
to get
that
in there.
manosphere thing, and it's like, look how slighted you are,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what they're feeding on.
Nick Fuentes is a big one for that,
Mhm,
and
yes.
he's far righter than
Yeah,
Kirk
yeah.
was.
But it's interesting, Nick and several of the other, after the Jimmy Kimmel scenario, in which the government showed that it had the means and the ability to reach out and touch pretty much anybody, that multiple right-wing podcasters or influencers came out in defense of Jimmy Kimmel because it could be an attack on them. And as I heard in the city council meeting by one of our city commissioners on council member, why we, as government, we need to be very cautious about how we respond to this, because the Republicans will not always be in power. And we're hoping that sooner than later that the power will shift and level itself. And these, Nick and Rogan and others who make their bread and butter saying this thing said, I don't want the government telling me that I can't say what I want. And if after 2028, if there's a Democrat in office with a Democratic House of Representatives and Senate, will we behave that way? Will we be retaliatory? And that's what they refer to as guardrails, which we've all seen in the last 9 months. The deterioration, this response, this act of, we're going to be in power forever, so we're going to change every single rule, and then go, oh my God, we're not in power anymore, and complain and whine about it. But I wanted to, my whole goal, seeing the makeup of today, I wanted to ask you this question, because I posed this question to a professional woman I know who's highly educated. She's even an attorney. She recently, a year ago, later in life, had a child. She works all the time, she's very involved, but she's also a big believer in Charlie Kirk. And I asked this question. Charlie Kirk would not support or believe in your right or your freedom as a professional woman, all of you, to do this. He wants you to stay at home. He doesn't want you. And I even read to her quotes from him.
Right.
Women only need to go to college so they can meet a professional man to support them. Women need to stay at home with their children and not to be out working, which is the family nucleus.
Even barefoot and pregnant.
And all of these things. And I was surprised by her response of, well, I don't believe everything everybody tells me. And I went, I don't understand how you can pull apart the most important thing that you live on and say that doesn't matter, but I'm going to believe everything else. What are your thoughts on that as professional, hardworking, retired women in today's society?
Okay, did she, when she said she supported Charlie Kirk, does she mean his viewpoints or his right to express them? Because there's kind of
Both.
both.
And she's a Christian woman, sees him as a godly man, which me being a Christian man, I was like, that's a whole nother
Yeah, I know.
I do
conversation.
not understand how
Yeah, a
you
lot of
reconcile
people are
that.
saying he was a godly man, but based on what he was espousing, I find that so, I'm
Yeah, that's
perplexing.
where I lose the
I lose
ability
the,
to
I lose the
understand.
plot.
But if you had a, if you had a daughter, if you had a 19-year-old daughter who was getting into college, would you want her to understand that there's a perception of limitation and expectation?
No, I would not.
No, that would be in the 1950s, when women weren't expected to go to college. You expected to either go into secretarial or nursing. Those were your two choices,
then you could
or
meet
teaching. Yeah, or teaching, or low-paid
I'm
jobs.
a weird one. I kind of feel like we got gassed a little bit on that one, but I'm still formulating my adult opinions on things. But my daughter moved to Japan and had a baby. She's a professional career person, and she got married in Japan, and she's a bilingual, so she went over to be a teacher and do other things. Okay, so they're so good to full year maternity leave for both the mother and the father, if he wants it. And she said, Mom, this is so great. I don't know how you did it. How did you work and raise me? And it seems like that's the expectation in America, that, you know, if you're not a feminist, if you don't think that that's how you should be living and everything. And I said, yeah, there's a little gaslighting going on with that. And if you're happy being at home with that baby and enjoying what Mother Nature intended for you to raise that baby before you started leaving it alone for 8 hours with somebody else.
Yeah.
So I'm confused on this whole thing, but I do think we should have the right to
Yeah,
pursue
no,
a career
Yes.
outside of raising children if we want.
Exactly. No, I had a professional career, but I stayed home in it for 8 years with a child. And I'm glad I did it.
It's
but-
such a privilege if you
but
get to
it-
do that.
Well, I'll tell you.
These days, it's a
I'll tell you
privilege.
what, though, you look at my social security statement
Yeah,
nowadays,
wasn't
there's a
a
big blank
privilege,
on it.
Yeah, no, there's a
And also,
consequence.
I was married to someone who I thought was more of a support, and now I'm divorced, so that has hurt me. Okay, so it has, it has. So the thing is, when she's saying about Japan, you know, and other countries that have these great maternity leaves and paternity leaves also, that's awesome. But I think here, it can hurt you a lot financially by not working. So I don't think that all these mothers that are working are so anxious to leave their children. I think many of them are thinking, I need to leave my children because I'm not gonna earn. And that's so.
It's just a big murky pit, I
It is
feel
a
like.
murky, it is a murky pit, because I know, I'm not sorry about the choice I made, but I'm paying for it now.
Well, and I think, go ahead,
I just
please.
was going to say that there's an interesting change kind of happening, maybe. We went to buy a truck up at Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine, and they have this whole big new campus and everything. They have childcare on campus for their employees.
Yeah,
And I think that is something that should be, you know, there should be more of.
Yes.
And it would allow women to.
you are right,
yeah.
because women do struggle trying to work. I mean, they really do, and well, I guess men do too. I mean.
Yeah, because motherhood's not a part-time job.
No, it is not.
And so therefore, you're doing a full-time job plus
And a full-time job.
a job. But I'm not saying that, like, that would be what I would choose as well.
But it is hard, and you do, in other cultures,
I
other
wish I could have
countries.
stayed home the first year.
Yeah, but other countries, you don't have that, I mean, that's something you are able to take advantage of if you'd like
Yeah.
to, and I
Yeah.
think that's awesome.
We were talking about America. I'm just confused
Yeah.
on the whole topic
Well, we
now,
can
what
do
I
it.
should be voting for as far as like what's good for women.
Well,
Like when I consider topics like
Well, what's
this.
good for women is letting women make their own decisions, right?
Well, and I
Yeah,
think
make
it's
their own
a,
choices is exactly what
I
I was saying.
try for myself to be cautious in comparing us to other countries because it just makes me madder at the, at the decisions in my, and for me, I can only speak for me, when I say I'm a Democrat, when I say I'm a liberal, then that comes with freedom of staying at home, freedom of daycare and childcare, freedom of understanding the value of nucleus family and that together, freedom of healthcare, freedom of being able to have, not worrying about the cost of. And I believe that unfortunately, at least from the experience I've had, a lot of those decisions were made for us, were made for my family, because we lived in an area that couldn't live by one of us working.
Right.
But the schools were the best. So our focus for our children was we had to live in this school district, which required both of us to work. And even though we had to put our kids in Montessori and early program before school, which cost more, that almost equaled what one of us was earning, our focus was on our children. So I think it's a false narrative, at least my experience, to understand that people have choice. And when you look at the cost of living right here in Flagler County and in Palm Coast, I believe that it would be nearly impossible for a young family with a young child to not require both of them to work, to pay half of what one of them's working for the daycare to cover that child so that they can live here to afford a house. So the economics, and at the end of this conversation I had with this person, she then defended the situation, well, she has to work and her husband has to work because of the cost of living here in Palm Coast. And though she would love to stay at home and cuddle on this beautiful young kid and be there for steps and all that kind of stuff, it wasn't a choice they could make. So I think it's a false narrative
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Totally is, absolutely.
to be that. And so how do we educate, or how do we talk about the young people who, the 19-year-olds old enough to vote, like a lot of these people, and let them know?
He's got good, hard, but I feel like he's misled. I was so surprised at how he reacted, because he was at my house when the news came through about Charlie Kirk.
Mhm.
And he told me like it was gonna ruin my day or something. And I didn't celebrate,
No.
but I was like, oh, I go, well, that's big. I go, well, that's gonna shake everything up.
Yeah.
And he got real upset about it, and I said, I'm not sad though.
No.
And then I was looking at him and I'm like, why are you so tore up about in what world do you even know about Charlie Kirk? Because he's not religious at all.
Oh,
But he completely jumped into that whole
Well,
Yeah.
he's getting,
tsunami of,
it's where you get your information.
Yeah.
right.
and he was seeing stuff tailored for an 18-year-old.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where
Very,
we,
very well tailored.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I gotta dive into this cesspool so that I can talk to him.
Yeah. You're right. I don't have any.
He's the only young person in
I
my
don't
life
have-
that's in
yeah,
my,
I
you
don't
know.
have anybody that age in my life, but.
My
I-
daughter thinks
Other
well
people have
for
said
herself. Doesn't her
Right.
mom.
It's a chat, and I've, on my Ponderings podcast, I recently had a gentleman named Tom Townsend who was amazing in how to speak and how to talk with people of different views.
He was here on Conversations as well.
He was. And I'll steal from him, engage instead of enrage. and ask a lot of questions. So in your situation, knowing little about Charlie Kirk that you knew, and having a young one who has a perception.
I mean, I already watched a lot.
No, but it would be a great opportunity, I think, and I've practiced this myself, to go, why? Well, why are you upset? Well, what is it that you've learned from him? What do you hold up from him? Because inevitably, they're going to speak or say something out loud which will make them stop and ask in their own mind. They'll go, wait a minute, did I just say that women should not do this, or that blacks are this, or Martin Luther King was this, or a whole plethora of other things, because they're very specific in what they get into until they find out they're now on the bus with 40 other people that have completely different thinkings. And that's what I try to practice. And it's hard. It is so hard. And I have a son who is way left. He's a gay man, lives in the Northwest, and is totally oblivious. Mike and I have a lot of experience living in a very blue, culturally free environment, and it's hard to get my mind around the things that happen here. But they've been here for many, many years, and it's very culturally from father to son to grandson. And so it's a crazy kind of time, but besides the Charlie Kirk and all that, what other things are going on that you've been exposed to? What other elements? What do you think about the property tax thing that they're talking about?
That's why both people have to work.
To pay the property taxes.
Yeah.
So I was talking to an executive recently that said, oh man, if they put that on the ballot, they expected it would win hands down. Because the general public, if they own a home, a big chunk of their money goes to property taxes. Would you think that there would be relief if you didn't? How many of you own homes?
Well, the bank still owns it, but
Well, that's my point, though. Do you think there'd be value if the property tax went away and they just
How are they going to raise revenue?
raised the sales tax?
yeah.
To what?
What?
To make
Well,
that-
statistically, in the news, it's saying in Palm Coast, Flagler County, for them to meet that, it would have to go to somewhere between 12 and 13%.
Right.
Now, again, Mike and I know what that's like in the Northwest.
So some people may jump at that question and say yes and not think it out. Like, oh,
Well, it also depends on, what about the person that lives in the hammocks in $1 million home, pays $25,000 a year in property taxes, but only here half the year, and doesn't spend a lot of money here? That'd be a savings for them.
Okay,
What about,
But-
what about the people that don't own homes, then would be affected by an increased sales tax, which they're
Yeah,
having
they're
trouble
paying the
affording
taxes.
just renting and
It's
everything
all-
else.
Absolutely.
Sales tax is a regressive tax. Period. It always has been.
Right.
Seems like it benefits the rich more than the
It
average.
does.
Oh,
Like everything they're doing these days.
Yeah.
it absolutely would. And it would benefit the new home buyers that are coming down here in rows, because as a new home buyer, you're not eligible for a lot of the tax, the breaks, like, what do you have to be here a year to do homestead and
well,
some
I've been here
other,
40 years, my taxes are low.
right,
I mean,
exactly.
because I've been in the house. For
Right, so for you, it would be harmful to
Yeah.
get rid of it.
Okay, could you just kind of, I'm not that well versed on it. Could you just go over, I know they're proposing doing away with property tax.
That's correct.
That's simple. No property tax.
That's
That's,
the state.
And that's coming from Tallahassee.
right,
Right.
it's
Okay.
DeSantis.
And then
That's
it would be
what
made
they're
up
discussing.
by sales tax.
sales tax. And other fees and charges that would be buried
How much it
into
costs to
your.
register your car will go up.
Okay.
That'll help
Absolutely.
offset,
Okay.
infrastructure
Yeah,
and those
okay.
kind of things.
Okay, so people who rent though, they're paying property tax anyway because their landlord's taxing
Yeah,
on
it's
it,
just
you know,
tacked it
they're not
into
getting
their
away with
rent,
that.
yeah.
Do you think their rent would go down?
It's not
No,
It's
no, I
not
do
gonna
not.
go.
I do not, but
But maybe
they're,
he'll fix the garage door.
yeah,
No, he's pretty good, I shouldn't
No,
complain.
rents
That's
aren't
my
gonna go
landlord.
down. Rents, I've seen rents go insane.
Yeah, they
in the
went
last few
through the
years.
roof, yeah.
It
Right.
used to be, Palm Coast used to be a place where people from St. Augustine and Daytona and stuff kind of came because it was cheaper. It's not anymore.
And now Benell's just gonna
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff
be, with
going
that,
on.
with that thing they.
So
just-
Yeah,
Another
That was
conversation
the
along
place
this
to-
lines,
yeah.
the state feels that by reducing the guaranteed property tax to the cities, the cities would become more frugal, would become more sensitive in understanding how they spend their money.
They closed the library.
Do you think
Yeah,
that would
like,
happen?
Isn't this the first thing on the chopping block every time?
Right,
Yeah,
that was
I couldn't
seriously,
believe it when we had to like, anyway.
yeah.
yeah, we had to get out there and
That was a
protest
couple
and
years
get up in
ago.
their face to maintain both libraries, now that the other one is opening up at the end of the year. That was a big,
This was essential for my daughter, because we
Yeah.
were poverty line. And the library is why she turned out so great.
yeah. I have
Library is
absolutely the
very
same
important.
recollection. I grew up in a family of 7 children.
This should be the last thing on the chopping block.
And
but it
that
is.
was my escape from the chaos of being at home.
No, libraries.
You
are-
went
Me
there
too.
and you took a book and you were in another world and, you know, you're able to take it home and read it. You didn't have to ask for money for anything. You just,
Yeah.
you got it. And then
and
for me,
many
it was, I
people
just had to get somebody to take me back to give the book back.
Right, right.
But it was a lifeline for me. I
Oh, yeah.
would not have become the person I am without the library.
It's one of the most essential things we have.
I believe that, I really do,
I
and I
wish
don't
everyone felt the
understand
way
why,
we do.
why the Flagler Commission doesn't understand that. The people on that commission, the couple of meetings I've been to, they speak to each other like, they treat each other like dirt,
Yeah.
like foul with each other, and they think the library is nothing. It's just an inconvenience that they have to put up with in their budget, and not understand how valuable it is to the citizens of this county.
It's interesting. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, that's only because, and I've mentioned this before, that's only because, from my understanding, only one person on that board or commission actually used the library. So if you don't use it, it's foreign to you.
Yeah.
What's the use of it?
I have a nephew, grandnephew actually. He must have been about 8 or 9 years old and was very into baseball. So we got him for Christmas. We got him a big one of those picture books of, you know, with statistics and beautiful pictures of, you know, baseball. And he opened it, flung it. He goes, "I don't read." And the gasp in the room, like everybody in the room just went, because we grew up a family of readers, and it's just like the next
What made him
generation
feel that way?
didn't have that feeling. They
Different
didn't grow up
meaning.
with it. It was so upsetting to this day. I can taste it, the bile coming up in my throat from the moment he said that.
Well, the
gen-
view and change,
Mhm.
I'm sure my grandparents couldn't understand what I was thinking and doing, and if there's anything that's consistent, the changes of things that each generation, I've lost count how many times I've turned to my wife, and our kids are in their middle 30s to low 40s, and in unison we'll say, "Thank God we didn't have this to deal with as we were raising our children." So some changes are out of our realm of control. But I will point out this was something interesting because we tried, Palm Coast, the Flagler County just did their final taxes, their budget for the year. And it was disclosed that they had to write off, as in take off their budget sheet, over $10 million, because over the last 5.5, 6 years, the Flagler County ambulance system was losing money for every year. Because the way it works is the city of Palm Coast provides the technicians in the ambulance, but the ambulance itself is owned by the county. And so the fees that were being paid by the elderly and needy people to use the ambulance were only being compensated at like 25%. So they were losing money every year. Now they decided that that was the cost of doing business to have an ambulance service in our society. We all agree, right? We would all want to call that 911 when your husband or your loved one's laying on the ground, you need help. And whatever the cost is, we'll deal with it later. But that $10 million would have completely funded the library system for possibly multiple years. Interesting thought to close on. So, I want to thank you all for coming today. Good conversation. I hope that you walk away more informed, maybe have some other ways to talk to your coworkers or friends. I say this every single time. We need to figure out a way to address and talk to our neighbors, our people down the street, those that don't think like us, because that is the only way out of this situation we're in. Every day, tools are provided to you by the Trump administration to help you with that. They do. So, oh my God, we're never going to take Tylenol again? Really? Do you think that that's real?
That
We were
was
talking about
so
getting
crazy.
COVID shots or getting health care, or I just pointed out the ambulance. So,
There is a real study about acetaminophen, I have to say, about reducing empathy and compassion, neurologically speaking. So he's doing us a favor a little bit, but if he would just leave the autism alone
Right.
about it. So I was just like, well, if these people that are so angry take less Tylenol.
wow.
That was the way I tried to make
You know,
lemonade that night.
You've taken the words
other studies really-
right out of my mouth, because in 2020, during the height of the COVID, and I apologize now, I was, and the numbers did bear this out, that unfortunately a lot of the COVID vaccine deniers aren't with us anymore. And the numbers to the conservative and the liberals appear to have pretty much maybe leveled out the playing field, though I don't wish that on anybody. But with that, Mike, quickly?
Well, quickly, just remember that Stephen Miller, we all know who that is. Stephen Miller wants the population of the United States to be at about 100 million people. Well, how do you get there? Well, you let them die off.
Right.
Right, take away health insurance.
Exactly.
It's easy answer.
Interesting.
Prevent babies from being born.
Reduce
Yeah,
aid.
all of these things.
Exactly.
And then make homelessness criminal so that when you take away their housing assistance and they're homeless and
Yeah.
Well, and
So-
somebody's gonna have to go pick the crops, and so if you get rid of Social Security and welfare and all of those things, those people will have to go do something if they,
Oh, no, they're all going to go to church and get saved. Because the church is going to be the source of donations to help the needy and provide a place to live for everyone and be the answer to that family where the man works and the woman doesn't have to and live in the most expensive country in America. But with that,
Wait, just mention that.
Go ahead.
We'll be recording next week. There'll be a meeting, but it won't be recorded.
yeah, so next week we'll be at the golf course.
Right.
Merrill will not be here. Everyone is welcome to join. It's an open conversation. I think there's a lot of value out of this. I get a lot out of it doing it. And with that, thanks for coming, stopping by. You're always welcome. Stay safe.